Hello there, and as usual, I'm Aaron from Laststandgamers, and welcome. So today we're taking a look at another beautiful ship from the workshop, and I'll also be using this as a bit of a test to see if the issues with my PC have been fixed. Now, that is the main reason why the Colony Wars content hasn't been up and some of the other content has been missed out as well. Simply, my computer keeps crashing without reason. I've tested a lot of things out so far, and it seems, if you're watching this, things seem to be getting a little bit better. Now, anyway, let's have a look around this Valiant Deluxe. And I don't cover civilian crafts too often on the channel, and the reason for that is they're simply not as popular. You guys like to see things brimming with weapons and cannons, but this Valiant really caught my eyes, and the design of itself is just so sleek and beautiful. It's on the level of a ship that you'd seen something like Star Citizen. So let's actually start near the cockpit area here at the front. So you'll notice it's a simple one-seat cockpit designed to get a VIP type client around to different planets or different locations, and wrapped around that are these really cool rotating joints that I'll show you shortly when we get up into the air. But the detail hasn't been lost in this section either. You can see how he's wrapped the blocks around each other there. Hombre's done an absolutely amazing job on wrapping them and just making it all integrate flawlessly into each other. So as you can see, as we move down the sides here, we've got the thruster cells that are nicely compact into this central ball, and originally I came to the rear and was stunned by the cool glowing elements. It's just simply lights that have been stuck here in this blue sort of fashion, but it's hydrogen thrusters tucked behind them, so you've still got a lot of power and a lot of maneuverability in this rather elegant ship design. Of course, for functionality, rotors and pistons are always going to summon clang, and that's a risk that we've got to take. Now let's have a look at the wings themselves. So each one of these wings is beautifully crafted with these segments cut out of them. You can see the blue lights are lighting up the rear of that tailpiece. You've got the two black stripes, and then it tucks itself very neatly into that point towards the end there. These wings really make it stand out from other designs, and in Space Engineers, since wings are not really important at all, many creators will just leave them off for functionality, but you can see this is not a functionality based ship. This is something just to go wow as it flies past you and then go, oh, my brick really isn't good enough to compete. But let's actually have a look at what we've got going on at the rear area in the center here. So you can see we've got these great pillars that wrap around to each of these wingtips, and this what allows it to flex and move. You can see we've got the pistons in that component there as well, so we can lower and raise them if we want to, and it allows us to get this really cool angle of the wingtips. Anyway, enough talking, let's step in and check out this civilian ship. So you can see by the scale of me next to it that there isn't really an ideal way of jumping aboard. There's no ladders, there's no steps. You'd have to have some sort of boost up to it if you were not going to use your jetpack. But now we're in, we can actually take this thing off, and I'll show you just how elegantly it flies. So we'll disengage the landing gears, we'll bring it up, and we've got a lot of rear thrust. I'll activate my HUD so you can see what's going on, and then simply we're going to activate our wings. So we turn the rotors off, then we can turn them back on like so. And if we turn them off, they actually float and flex around, so you can see the ones coming down to the bottom there. So the rotors are actually on now, so let's just turn that one off as well, so the other one lines up with the bottom. So them two rotors at the bottom have formed this really cool flying sort of formation for planet type use, but when you get up into space, the weight isn't really a big type issue with the wings, so you can actually rotate them out. So let's put them wings back on, and we'll just reduce our speed so we can actually get rotating of them, so the rotor lock won't interfere with things. So there we go. You can see them wingtips spinning back up to the point they're at, and as I'm moving on this planet sort of surface, you'll notice that these sort of wingtips flex with me and move around the hull. That I think just looks absolutely beautiful. I'm not too sure if this is how they're intended to design, but it just looks like they're flexing with the thrust and the movement of the aircraft, almost like there's some sort of wind or air trapped below them as we move around. So you can see as they move around, we tilt to the right, that wing goes down. As if we bring up our acceleration and we tilt to the left, you can see that the wings just flexing with us. Let's try doing a bit of a more abrupt sort of turn. I might regret this. I'm definitely going to regret this. We've got too much momentum. Pull it back around now and save this ship. It's too beautiful to be destroyed by you. Right, we'll pop this up into space anyway, and I'll show you some of the other really cool features. You can see that there's a little bit of dust burning off the wings as we move around. Let's just lock them wings in place there for a second, and then we can reverse them back up. We'll take this up into space and we'll see how it handles there, because the rotors are going to behave differently due to the mass not being a large enough factor. You can see they're leveling off And as we're flying through this area, they just look so damn cool. So now that we're up in space, you can see that we've got the wings moving much more freely. They're of course on the rotor locks, so as we turn and adjust, the wings themselves will flip out to the different angles like they were doing on the planet. That I really like the look of. It just makes this really more sort of organic. So let's bring ourselves a little bit slower here and see if Aaron's computer's going to struggle and die with it, because this is what I'm worried about when I'm experimenting with these things. Puts a lot of load on my computer. So we can activate the rotors, we can fly in our nice triangle sort of formation, we can disengage them and probably re-enable the rotors about there. We can see if we can get that nice triangular shape, or both of them rotors going to hit the bottom. There we go. Perfect, just like that. It almost takes your eyes away from the cockpit and moves them towards this central area. If there was some way of integrating the cockpit into the middle bit, I'd really love the idea of that as well. But for a civilian type ship, this is something absolutely beautiful to look at. I can imagine someone moving into some sort of space dealership and wanting to pick up this ship for themselves. Anyway, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. A fantastic design. Check out the link in the description, and fingers crossed my computer holds it together while I try to sort things out for Colony Wars.